The wind howls, a mournful song across the barren cliffs. Dark, heavy clouds gather overhead, pregnant with a storm that threatens to tear the very sky apart. Below, the ocean churns in a furious dance, waves exploding against the jagged rocks like bursts of white anger. On a precarious ledge, a lone Puffin fights to keep his footing, his small body buffeted by the relentless gale. From the deep shadows of a nearby crevice, two eyes glint with a predatory light. They belong to the fox, a creature of cunning and shadow, who has hunted this Puffin for what feels like an eternity. Tonight, this story, this relentless chase, reaches its final, brutal chapter. As the first fat drops of rain begin to fall, it's clear that only one of them will survive the storm. The fox emerges from the darkness, a cruel smirk twisting his features. His fur is slick with mist, and he moves with a chilling confidence that defies the roaring tempest. "You've run from me long enough, little bird," he sneers, his voice a low growl that cuts through the wind. "You've been clever, I'll grant you that, but your luck has run out. Tonight, this cliff will be your grave." Puffin, panting heavily, his feathers ruffled and soaked, glares back with defiance. His heart hammers against his ribs, but he refuses to show the fear that threatens to consume him. "You think you can win just by fear, Fox," he retorts, his voice strained but steady. "Look around you. The storm is against us both. This cliff doesn't care who is the hunter and who is the hunted." But the fox only laughs, a harsh, grating sound. He takes a deliberate step forward, then another, his sharp claws scratching ominously against the wet, slippery stone. The sound is like a promise of the violence to come. He's closing the distance, cornering his prey. Puffin, knowing he cannot outrun the fox on this narrow ledge, instinctively spreads his wings. It's a gesture of pure desperation, a fighter's stance. He knows the storm's furious winds make flight impossible. The gales would simply snatch him from the air and dash him against the rocks below. He is trapped. The fox's smirk widens. The hunt is over. Or so he thought. Just as the fox prepares to lunge, a new presence makes itself known. From a cluster of rocks behind the predator, two more eyes appear. But these are different, larger, fiercer. They glow with an ancient, formidable power, and they are not fixed on the Puffin. A low, rumbling growl echoes from the shadows, a sound so deep and resonant it seems to vibrate through the very stone of the cliff. Puffin, who had been bracing for the fox's attack, freezes. A shiver runs through him that has nothing to do with the cold. "We, ... are not alone," he whispers, his voice barely audible over the storm's roar. Slowly, a colossal figure emerges from the darkness. It is a giant eagle, a magnifique, sent a terrifying monarch of the sky. Its wingspan is so vast that as it unfurls its wings, the storm itself seems to hesitate, to bow before its majesty. The sheer scale of the bird is breathtaking, a creature of legend brought to life. In that one heart-stopping moment, both Puffin and Fox are united in a single emotion. Pure, unadulterated awe, quickly followed by terror. The fox's smug confidence evaporates in an instant. The hunter has become the hunt. He lets out a nervous snarl, his body tensing, his eyes darting between the eagle and the Puffin. This wasn't part of the plan," he hisses, the tremor in his voice betraying his fear. For the first time in his life, the cunning fox, the master of the hunt, knows what it feels like to be prey. The food chain has just been violently rearranged, and he is no longer at the top. The storm, the Puffin, the cliff, they were all just elements in his game. But this was something else entirely. This was a god of the sky descending upon their mortal squabble. The air crackles with tension, thick and heavy. The eagle lets out a piercing shriek that drowns out the thunder, a declaration of its dominance. Then, with a powerful beat of its colossal wings, it dives. It moves with impossible speed and grace, a feathered missile aimed directly at the fox. The fox reacting on pure instinct, dodges to the side. His body scraping against the rock wall, the eagle's talons, each as long and sharp as a dagger, slice through the air where he had been a split second before, striking sparks from the stone. Puffin flutters backward, desperately trying to stay clear of the unfolding chaos. He is no longer the target, but he's trapped in the middle of a battle between titans. The wind from the eagle's wings alone is enough to throw him off balance. If I don't move now, he thinks frantically, I'll be crushed between them. The storm howls even louder, as if cheering on the brutal spectacle. The fox, panicking, his mind racing, sees only one way out. He needs a distraction, a shield. His wild eyes lock onto the puffin. With a desperate yell, he leaps not to attack, but to get behind the small bird, to use him as a living barrier against the eagle's next assault. Stay still, bird, or we both die. He screams, his voice filled with a terror he has never known. But Puffin is done being a pawn. He has survived this long, not through luck, but through his own wits and courage. He will not be a sacrifice. In a flash of inspiration, as the eagle swoops in for another deadly strike, Puffin refuses to stay put. With one swift, decisive move, he dives low, tucking his wings and dropping just a few feet. It's a small movement, but it changes everything. The eagle, its attack locked on its target, cannot adjust in time. Its trajectory, meant for the space Puffin had occupied, now leads directly to the exposed fox. The attack misses its intended secondary target and finds its primary one. The eagle's talons, unable to find their purchase on the tiny bird, rake across the fox's back. Instead, the fox lets out a piercing yelp of pain and shock. The force of the blow, combined with the slick, wet rock, sends him stumbling backward, dangerously close to the crumbling edge of the cliff. The storm seems to sense the moment of climax. A powerful gust of wind pushes against him, a final, impartial judge. The rocks beneath his hind paws begin to crumble and break away. The fox's eyes widen in sheer, abject fear as he scrambles for purchase that isn't there. No, ... double quotes. He gasps, his voice swallowed by the wind. This can't be my end. But the cliff and the storm have passed their sentence. With one last deafening roar of thunder, the ledge gives way completely. The fox, with a final, desperate cry, is plunged into the raging, dark ocean below. The waves swallow him in an instant, and he is gone. Silence hangs in the air, a stark contrast to the preceding chaos. Puffin hovers on the wind, his small body exhausted but intact. The eagle lands gracefully on the now empty ledge, its immense form silhouetted against the stormy sky. It turns its piercing, intelligent gaze toward him. The moment stretches, filled with uncertainty. Puffin looks at the magnificent creature, the unexpected savior, the potential new executioner. His fate still hangs in the balance. Mustering the last of his strength, he thinks the words, a silent plea to the king of the storm. Will you take me to ... or let me live? The eagle watches him for a long moment, its gaze unreadable. Then, in a move that surprises Puffin completely, it simply flaps its mighty wings, pushing off from the cliff. It doesn't attack. It doesn't linger. It turns and flies away, disappearing into the dark. Swirling clouds as mysteriously as it arrived, Puffin is left alone on the cliff, trembling but alive. Slowly, as if on cue, the storm begins to recede. The furious winds calm to a gentle breeze, and the heavy, dark clouds part. A single, golden ray of sunlight breaks through, casting a warm glow over the turbulent ocean. Puffin lands softly on the cliff's edge, his little chest heaving with exhaustion and relief. He looks out at the water where the fox had fallen, then up at the brightening sky where the eagle had vanished. The cunning fox has fallen. The storm has passed, and though he is scarred, weary, and forever changed, he has survived. He takes a deep breath of the fresh, clean air the rising sun warming his feathers. This was not just a fight for survival, he whispers to the morning light. It was the fight for freedom. And so, the story of Puffin and the Fox ends here. A tale of fear, courage, and survival against all odds, where the smallest of creatures found the strength to face down his demons, both real and imagined. If you enjoyed this thrilling adventure and want to see more stories of courage and survival, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.